Okay, so this video is a little bit different from everything else that I've done. Why am I doing it? I'm spending a lot of time on the song that I'm writing right now. Like I would say a month. All of the easy songwriting is done. I don't know how much time is going to be required. But I'm writing a song. It's one of those things where you have a chord progression and you've got a melody going through your head, but you're just not happy with it, and then you change things. I've actually written like 3 songs, and then I'm just not happy with any of them, so it takes a lot of time. The other thing I tried to do was a cover of Rock and Roller by the Bay City Rollers, and it was like almost impossible because there's so much guitar tone that you require. So there's like certain types of amps and certain types of like distortion and all that stuff that you need. I don't have it. So I had to give up on that, but it was fun learning that. And actually, the chord progression for Rock and Roller is awesome. I think Eric did an excellent job writing that. But the thing that was coming up in my mind is that I don't do solos at all, and I don't really care about them. That's really the problem, and I don't care about playing scales and arpeggios all the time. I absolutely hate it, and it goes all the way back to playing piano a long time ago, where you do those scales with both hands going up, and then one hand goes down, and the other one goes back up, and then they both come down, and you if anyone's played piano, and you have to do that in piano on every single major and minor key, and it's just dreadful. Like, it's brutal. And then, of course, you have to do the arpeggios around that as well. And it's brutal. And, this is why I'm never going to be a great musician. It's never going to happen because I just can't sit there and spend it's so funny because it's only 20 minutes a day. You have to spend 20 minutes a day for maybe 5 to 10 years doing this stuff. That's all it is. 20 minutes a day for 5 to 10 years doing this stuff, and then you're going to be a master. The thing that matters to me is trying to write songs, right? And simple songs, pop songs. And the reason I started doing that was because I played bass to I guess, A Flock of Seagulls. I can't remember what song it was. Space Age Love Song. And I realized it was just the same thing over and over again, and yet it was effective, and it was great. And I started to realize, all these things that have been holding me back and saying I don't want to touch music are just silly things that you don't necessarily have to aspire to. You don't have to get to that point, right? So I spend most of my time, I'll be trying to write a song. That's what I spend all my time on, and a lot of it is very simple tonal harmony. So just simple things like if you're playing in a minor key, play in the harmonic minor and maybe switch back and forth, and use the appropriate chords if you're playing, harmonic. But whatever, that's fine. And I don't spend any time at all. And I think there are a lot of people probably like this. I don't spend a lot of time working on my scales. But there's one scale that I do work on, and I think it's incredibly important in pop music, and it's all over the place. And a lot of people are going to assume when I talk about this, they would assume, pentatonic scale. No, it's the minor blues scale, which is slightly different, and it's an ever so slight change, but essentially, here it is. That's it. So you've got your your tonic or root note, whatever you want to say, minor third, perfect fourth, tritone or diminished fifth, perfect fifth, minor seventh, and your tonic or octave. And the whole point about that is to be able to do solos, expressive solos, and for some people to write melodies as well, right? And the thing about that is it has a box pattern. So the main box pattern is like this. And back down. And then there are, I think, 3 or 4 more boxes as you move up, and obviously the pattern changes, and so you need to sit there every day. Actually, this is not like learning piano. It's not like 5 or 10 years that you have to do this, because it's the same over and over again. But you have to sit there every day for a while and learn the patterns for those 4 boxes, because they start off different and they're completely different. And that was kind of daunting to me, and so I don't even know how this came about. Let's step back. So that's one problem, is you got like these 3 or 4 different boxes of different patterns to play the same thing. The other thing is that the whole point of having a minor blues scale that you're using is that when you are stopping on certain notes and maybe bending them, it's kind of imperative that those notes be in the chord that is being played in the progression at that point in time. So if you're doing 12-bar blues, well, you just know this stuff, you play it over and over again, you know what chord's coming up, right? But in popular music, you can't depend on that at all, and you have to really think about what you're hitting. So the point is, you have to have an ear to understand when I'm moving in a certain direction and when I'm hitting a certain note. You have to know ahead of time what it's going to sound like. Now, I'm not at that point. I'm not here to say that I've done that. But what I am here to say is that as kind of a novice guitar player, what am I doing in order to get to that point, right? So we have this, and the pattern stays the same. It doesn't matter where you start. But let's just start it on the G, right? So we do that same pattern. And then what I did, sorry, I better stop that. And then what I did was I added the next 2 notes on top. Right? And I feel that that's a good amount of notes in one box that you're going to. And if you need to go past that, you can start to slide up the neck. And I'm going to explain that now. So you can do just the minor blues scale like this. See that slide, right? And it starts over again. Right? So in doing that, you've started here and ended up all the way on the same note way over there. There's a bunch of stuff missing here. And right now, I'm not worried about it. I know that when I eventually learn all 4 boxes, I'll get to that point. So the point that I'm getting to is that that's enough to really start. But at the same time, you have to develop a feel for what each note is in it. And the thing that I somehow can end, you have to be able to do picking in both directions, right? And so say I'm writing a song and I'm not like it, or maybe I'm just doing a song that I've written, and I'm done with it and I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. What I do is practice this little melody that makes use of that minor blues scale, and it goes kind of like this. Slide, right? Slide again. And I'll just do that, every time. And you can just go anywhere that you want, well, to an extent, on the neck, right? there's a few things that if you just do this all the time, when you're, if you're like me and you're just trying to write songs, if you do this all the time, what ends up happening is that you start to recognize the notes by where they are on the fretboard. And the other thing is your picking is just going to start to get better and better and better without you having to sit there and say, oh, I have to play my scales, right? Which nobody enjoys doing. And, the people that do enjoy, well, no, I'm not going to say that. I don't know if anyone enjoys playing scales, but the people that do play their scales obviously succeed. They do a great job. That's not me. And I think that's not a lot of people. So what is the benefit of this? When you're writing a song, sometimes you need to have that part where you're doing the verse and you don't want vocals in it because you're trying to add some dynamics into it. But then you have to do some guitar work. And the guitar work may be chords. Like if you want to do something like how Sun used to do stuff, right? Like I'm talking about the record label. You may use chords and some picking. But the other thing is that you may do the solo type of like individual notes that are running up and down certain scales. And you have to be, to make it easier on yourself, you have to know ahead of time what you're going to be hitting. And, I've been talking a lot about the Bay City Rollers lately, but it's kind of like, even Eric, it's like... does stuff like that. Now that's pentatonic scale, it's not a blues scale, but all you have to do to use a pentatonic scale is take out that tritone and boom, you're there, right? For a minor pentatonic. So, I don't know, I'd be interested to hear what other people do to make it easier to do this type of work to make yourself a better guitarist. The other thing I would say is that, practice is what it's all about. So if you spend 3 hours a day practicing, which I know sounds insane, but if you spend like 3 hours a day practicing, it could be any type of practicing. Practice writing a song. Practice changing keys in a song. Practice doing, writing a solo or doing like a blues type of thing. It doesn't matter. As long as you're doing something every day, my feeling, and this is what I'm experiencing right now, as long as you're doing something every day that's interesting to you and pushing you ahead a little bit, in a few years, you're going to be surprised by where you are. That's my feeling on it now, and that's why I love the guitar, because it's based more on patterns, whereas, oh my god, piano can be brutal. And guitar can also be brutal because you cannot easily visualize all the notes. Like, a piano keyboard is just repeating, right? So you can visualize what's going on. You can see a note and hit it, and it's like, you know this. A little bit harder on a guitar. Anyway, I hope that's somewhat useful to anyone out there. It's been a real challenge for me because I hate doing that kind of work, but I think it's going to pay off over the next year or so. Anyway, hopefully I'll have a new song recorded. I know nobody cares. Everyone's like, Blaine, when's your next song? But I do want to record a new song, but it is challenging because there's all the production work and all that goes into it, and my production's not even good. But looking back at all the songs I did, I was very enthusiastic, but I nearly killed myself with all the production and being up until 2 o'clock in the morning and adjusting the vocals and adding more reverb and all that. And I think I've settled into, I'm never going to be a successful artist, but, I just want my songs to sound good. So, like, chill out and just try your best and spend some time with the song, and maybe it's going to mature into something better than as it started out with. And in between, do your little scales and see if maybe you can get better at that. So I don't know if this is advice. I don't even know. But that's what I've been working on, and I hope that maybe it works out for someone. Thanks for watching if you did.